Hi guys, welcome back to the Unity of Life, and I am Sam. If you've been watching our previous videos, you'll know that we are going through and talking about Formula 1 at the moment, and in order to do that we briefly looked at the history of the sport, and then we've moved on to the Netflix documentary Drive to Survive, and we are talking through each and every episode of that, and there's 3 seasons and there's 10 episodes of each season, so there's going to be quite a few episodes of this coming your way. I hope you've enjoyed the ones so far, and you hope you're going to continue to enjoy them. So today we're talking about episode 7, and this focuses on the HAAS team. Please remember, like I've said in previous videos, all this happened in 2018 and it has not happened now, and I am quite aware that a lot of things have changed since then. It is 3 years later. Okay, so this one was a bit quite interesting to me, because I think I mentioned before that there's a lot of strain, physiological and psychological, that goes on with a driver. So this actually focused on Grosjean, who... So bear in mind, this is before he had his really scary, fiery ball crash that he had in 2020. So this is before then, and he was struggling with his mental health. Because, you know, he's only human, he's going to have mental health issues now and again. And the mental health issues that he had, these psychological issues, it was all to do with his really bad season. You know, he wasn't doing so well, and this had been going on from like 2012 up until 2018. You know, he raced for HAAS in 2018, and he'd lost a lot of his confidence because he was involved in quite a few crashes. And like I said, these crashes that he had then were nowhere near as what was still to come at this point in time. So another thing that was brought to my attention with this, because there was a few issues with this in the 2020 season, was that contracts are signed and negotiated whenever possible with it in the racing season, even after. And, you know, races, they compete all the time, and it's literally they're not just on the track because they're competing against each other, but they are competing off the track to either keep their seat with the team that they're already with, or to jump ship and to move to a different team. So a lot of the drivers, when things don't go wrong, they take it very, very personally, as you would expect if you were driving. I think you would take a failure quite personally and quite badly, even if you didn't have 100% control over what went wrong. Okay, so Grosjean got really frustrated with himself and his team manager was frustrated with him because of all the crashes and the things that he was having. So this obviously escalated, and this all contributed to his poor mental health at the time. And his manager said that he does try really hard, and at the end of the day, that's all you can ask for from anybody, is just try hard and to try their best, regardless of what it is that they're doing, whether it's a sport like F1 or basketball or snowboarding or whatever that sport may be, or whether or not it's you're at college or at uni, you're at school, you're doing exams, or you're just going out into the work world. All you can do is your best, and you can just try and keep trying, even when you're knocked down, just to get back up again. That takes a lot of strength and a lot of courage to keep trying and keep persevering until you get there. Something that I really do need to remember myself. So again, Grosjean also mentioned that he feels really, really lonely being an F1 driver, because all the mistakes that you make, that's then is talked about public. The press is everywhere. For such a huge sport, these people are really, really famous. I mean, they can't even sneeze without it being a conspiracy behind the sneeze in public, you know, which is rather ridiculous, because at the end of the day, they are human, just like me, just like you. They are going to make mistakes. The difference is our mistakes aren't put out there for the whole public and the whole world to judge upon. And it's quite wrong that we live in a world where we're judging people on things like that. It's ridiculous. So all of these mistakes that he was making was constantly there. He couldn't forget about them. He couldn't really move on from them, because they were always in the paper, they were always on the press, they were always online for people to read about. Then you'd have fans of the team commenting, and you've got haters out there, because not everybody's going to be a fan of you, and they're going to be slagging you off as well online, which is it's ridiculous. And all this puts a lot more pressure on the drivers, not only to be the best that they can be, but yeah, it can bring their mental health down, because they get all these horrible negative reviews, and he's not the only driver that this happens to, you know, and it's just ridiculous. We get that people support other people more than they do others, but there is no need to be bringing somebody down and chipping away at their self-esteem, especially when it comes to men. We have to be really careful with that, because statistically, unfortunately, men don't talk about their feelings as much as women do. So when it comes to mental health, men do suffer really, really badly, because they do suffer in silence, and that is why male suicide rates are higher than women's. And knowing this, we're still not really doing anything to prevent that, and we need to change our thing, where we speak to people. So imagine what it's like to fall in the street, and you know, people have recorded this and they're laughing at you, no one's helping you, you're seriously injured, and it goes online. And when it's online, that's when things get a little bit worse, because other people are laughing at you. People that weren't even there, people you don't even know, people who didn't even see it happening are laughing. And the reason that they're laughing is because everybody else is laughing, and you can't escape that you fell and all these people are laughing at you. You just can't escape it, and that's going to make you feel really bad as a human being. And that's kind of what it's like for celebrities when they mess up and they make a mistake. It is online, they cannot run from it. Okay, so it's going to have a really negative impact on their mental health. So later on in this episode, there was a team meal, and it was a very fancy, sort of formal event, and Grosjean never showed up. He didn't go, and I think it was because he constantly kept messing up, so he felt as if he didn't have the right to be there. And they were talking about him, actually, and all the crashes that he had done, and they were not being very nice and about the whole situation, and it was all behind his back, considering that this is his team after all. They should have been a little bit more supportive, and if they had an issue, at least talk to him to his face, instead of being really mean and really nasty behind his back, because it was all getting recorded, so it's not like he's never going to maybe sit back and watch that and see that they were being quite mean about him. You know, and that's going to have a horrible impact. I think if you're going to be in charge of a team, or an F1 team, or any other team for any kind of sport, then you need to prioritise the mental health of your teammates, of the people who work for you, and yourself, especially if, you know, if it's a man that's in your team that might have mental health issues. Just to talk to them and make sure that they're okay, and just letting them know that it is okay to talk. It doesn't make them weak or anything like that. Society has got a lot to answer for when it comes to things like that. But we might cover that on a different video. So yeah, like I sort of just said, they weren't supporting him, they weren't checking his feelings in the team. You know, And I feel if you're in a team like that you should be like a family. At least that's how Mercedes goes around and treat these people in their team. They treat everybody as if they're one big family, and they win and they lose together. So if there is a little bit of a mess up, it's everybody who, you know, takes the fall for it. It's not just Lewis, it's not just Valtteri, okay? It's everybody. Even if, say, something went wrong in the pit lane and like a tyre wouldn't come off, they don't blame the person trying to change the tyre, or, you know, it was everybody's fault and they tried to fix it. And this was something that HAAS didn't do. And they, like I said, they didn't support him. They weren't checking up to see how he felt, if he was okay. And I do feel as if that was one of the biggest things. Just asking somebody's okay. Are you okay? Just giving them a drop in a text. Make sure that they know that you're thinking about them. And it could just be a simple 2-line text, or you just a 10-second conversation with somebody. It means a lot, and it does take a lot of that strain and that pressure away, and he might have had less mental health issues if only they just checked in with him once every while. And they didn't even insist that maybe he spoke to a counsellor, or went to therapy or anything like that, because, like I said, they weren't even bothered if he was okay, if he wasn't. They like I said, they just weren't checking up on him. And I know therapy and counselling, it's not for everybody. I know, and I understand that. But sometimes it does help just to talk to somebody that's completely out of the situation that they're in. So yeah, instead of asking him if he's okay and supporting him like they should have done, they just turned around and told him that he should be focusing on his driving, and he needs to stop his whining and his twining and just get on, because that's life. Things go wrong and you're there to drive. You're not here for anything else, and we don't give a crap about any other situation that's going on. And I feel as if that was the really wrong way to go about it, especially since they never actually checked in on him to see if he was okay or anything like that. And especially since most of what he was saying and that made him feel down was all the crashes, and so it was all the team, right? It's part of being a team. There's no I in team. And I feel as if with HAAS at that point, that there was just, you screw up, that's on you, it's not on anybody else. And it really didn't help with his mental state like maybe it should have. So that's pretty much all I have on this episode. So there was a bit of an issue with mental health in this episode, and we have talked about it a little bit. I'm probably going to do a video later on, specifically on mental health, because it is a really important subject, and it is something that people don't want to talk about because they find it taboo. But it is something that more people do need to talk about, and if we just talked, maybe we would save more lives and stop a lot more suicides and deaths. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you in the next one. Please don't forget to comment, like, share and subscribe. See you guys later. Bye.